Hey, this is Harry and Nathan from Burner, and you're listening to The Dan Chan Show.
So I've got vocalist Harry and guitarist Nathan from Burner with me. How's it going, guys?
It's good.
Good, man. Thanks.
Cool. How have things been for you in these COVID times in South London?
I mean, it's been long, man. I mean, we started out as a band back in 2018, and when we finally got the pieces together, because we started out as a trio, Nathan, our drummer, Hugo, myself. When we started out as a band, we were, just that, a trio. And we were together for about 2 years. And it was only in March 2020 when we finally had everything ready to go that we found our bassist Finn. And then obviously the world collapsed. So we were held off on doing anything for about 2 years, and now here we are. So yeah.
So I was going to say, let's start at the beginning. How did you guys get together? Because you're a relatively new band. You just said 2018. What's the history? What were you up to musically before you got together?
We've all been playing in bands before. I used to be in a band called Atlas Falls that kind of was formed at uni and played around the Leeds scene, and then we moved down to London. That kind of fizzled out after a few years. I don't think any of us were then hugely up to anything for a year or two. Our drummer Hugo, he's in another project called Monsters Attack, who were kind of getting a little bit of a name for themselves. But I saw a post on a Facebook page actually. I can't remember what the page was. It was just one of those like deck musicians pages.
Yeah.
And Harry had posted that him and a drummer were looking for a guitarist for a kind of hardcore, mathcore, death metal-y kind of band. And it was the kind of Facebook page where it was basically looking for like wedding singers most of the time. So I kind of just ignored it most of the time. And I saw that and thought,
it's a sign.
Okay, I'm gonna have to send a message over. So I sent him a message. I wrote a demo, I think, that night or the night after, sent it over, and Harry liked it. Hugo liked it. So we went and met for some drinks, and then we went, had a jam in a practice room, and it kind of all kicked off really quickly from there. And then we did the typical thing of trying to find a bassist for a while. As is always the case, that's the difficult bit, but thankfully we got real lucky.
I'm a drummer. Drummers are hard to find,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I got so lucky, because Hugo is just an insane drummer. The dude's a machine. I've never known a drummer to, pick up ridiculously hard parts so quickly. I can kind of program the most insane parts, and I don't have to worry about it. He just does it, and then does his own thing with it as well, which is amazing. But it all kind of fell into place in a really weird, fortunate way. And then obviously COVID hit.
Yeah.
And now we've just been kind of stuck in a bit of a limbo for a while. We've just been dying to get going properly, start playing shows and releasing music. And hopefully in the next few months, that's going to start to kick off properly.
I just was going to say, the demo, just to carry on what Nathan was saying, the demo he wrote was sick. All right. It was top notch. Okay. There was no contesting. This was the guy. And yeah, Hugo and I, we had tried out some kind of different kind of musical kind of projects for a while, but it was only really when Hugo and I kind of put heads together. I just met him in London, through a kind of find my band type forum, because we're just dedicated like that. That's what we want to do. And it was just like, okay, you know what, like let's really try and make something that's ours, and let's try and make it work. And then that kind of passion, that direction has just pushed us all the way into now. But it was bad, man. I mean, we had these songs, and we've been sitting on them for over 2 years.
Wow. And
it was nice when we got to record the EP with the single on it. It was good to kind of be in a room with a producer, and he's saying to us, "Hey, you know what? This is actually really good, guys." And we were kind of double guessing ourselves, like, you know what? Yeah, actually, it might very well be quite good, because we literally haven't shown it to anybody because we haven't done anything because of COVID.
Yeah. Just been in this weird little COVID bubble, not to use that term too much, but
I know what you mean.
You kind of in your own little space for a while. So it was nice to get a little bit of kind of confirmation from someone we respect as well.
And we'll come into that again in a bit. So I saw in a recent Metahammer article discussing bands to watch in 2022, and your name was mentioned. Do you agree with them?
I hope so, man.
I hope so, yeah.
Come on, have some confidence.
Yeah, I do have confidence in it. This is kind of, as I mentioned before about previous projects and stuff, don't get me wrong, I've been proud of everything I've worked on before, but this is the first project I've worked on where I've genuinely really felt confident about it, and very proud of the music we've created, the people I'm working with. We've all become good friends over the past few years.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I mean, it's bizarre to see your band's name in Metal Hammer. There was a similar one in Kerrang too. But, you know, I grew up reading those magazines and thinking one day my band will be there. And then you kind of have that period where you think, nah, it's not going to happen. And all of a sudden, your band's name is in there. So I think it's bizarre, but yeah, I guess it's probably deserved, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. I think when we, you know, when I looked at those, you know, mentions, and I kind of see them, I go, you know what? That's insane. Somebody else made that decision, right?
Yeah.
But when I even looking past that and looking at just the guys, I kind of think we're all so driven. It's the same kind of thing that brought us together and made us want to keep making music through COVID and saying, this is it. This is the time we're going to do this, right? I look at the guys and I think we're all so driven. We're all so committed to this project and what we think we can achieve. That, of course, surely we've got like so much further to go until we're really, you know, done. Right.
Yeah. So your EP, A Vision of the End, I've heard it. It's brilliant. It's awaiting a release date. Do you have any updates on this? Any labels touting?
There's not a huge amount we can talk about at the minute because we're in talks.
That's always good. I like that. That's good.
Yeah. You know how it is. There's not a huge amount we can talk about at the minute, but there's a reason why we can't talk about it, which will become apparent soon enough. But I can tell you that, you know, it's been a while since we put out our first single, Ingsoc. But you won't have to wait much longer to hear more of the EP. And along with that, hopefully, well, already we're announcing shows and we've got a lot more things planned for the future.
Awesome. Now, how was the recording? Because you got Lewis Johns involved, who is one hell of a metal producer. How did that all come about?
Yeah, that's on Nathan. That was Nathan's idea. He can tell you about that.
Yeah, I mean, we'd gone back and forth with throwing a few names in the hat. Lewis is someone I've wanted to record with for a few years now. I think it was the Conjurer record that really kind of, you know, he got a lot of recognition for that as well. And that's when he first, or at least in my eyes, that's when he first started, you know, properly making a name for himself. I knew that he had connections to a few labels as well, you know, and just every kind of similar heavy band that I was into that was being recorded by him. I always loved the records, not just the production, but the songs as well. And obviously when you go and work with the producer, they kind of become a member of your band, even if it's only, you know, we only actually recorded drums with Lewis, and then he mixed and mastered it as well. So when you're only there for a few days, they still have a huge impact on the final product.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were throwing a few names around. I was really trying to push the Lewis thing because I don't know, I had a good feeling about it. You know, I was really into most of the records that he produces. I also knew I was briefly in another band, and their drummer had recorded a few records with him as well, and just recommended him, couldn't recommend him highly enough. So we decided let's go with that. Let's hope for the best. And yeah, I think it turned out to be a really good decision.
He's done a great job.
Even though we only recorded,
yeah.
Even though we only recorded drums with him, the mix and the master he did is insane. I'm so much better than I ever could have hoped for.
And you agree, Harry?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to me, even from like a distance looking at it. And I think, wow, man, like this guy recorded records that, you know, I've been listening to in the past 5 years, you know. There were times, you know, just a few years ago, I was walking around listening to, you know, the latest Renounced record or, you know, that Calligram record or that Grieved record that came out that one time. And I just think, wow, it's weird to think that our stuff is in the same catalog of things that he's recorded. And yeah, it just sounds monstrous, which is exactly what we wanted it to be, really.
I was just going to say that was the other cool thing. Obviously, Harry's just named a few bands there, but there's the bands that I think of when I think of Lewis Johns, different bands again, Conjurer, Rollo Tomasi, Employed to Serve. So I think, although he's known for heavy music, it's extremely varied, the music that he produces. It's not just death metal, hardcore, whatever. There's such a crossover that I think he was able, especially with the mix, he was able to kind of bring some flavors to it that we otherwise wouldn't have asked for, but it turned out for the best.
Cool. And the public have only got one single to chew on right now, the debut single, Ingsoc, as you said. What's the theme behind it? What do you like to write about?
Oh, man. Okay. So, I mean, Ingsoc...
Here we go.
Ingsoc, it's 1984, obviously, alluding to this autocratic government that basically, you know, runs the world, runs society. I mean, we're not a band that I don't ever really want to be this guy who speaks so overtly in kind of political tones about what the music is about. I prefer that it's just kind of general, right? So everyone can connect to it from whatever angle. But it kind of taps back into one of the main themes of the band, which is anti-authoritarianism, you know, alluding to, you know, human rights abuses and issues going on in other countries around the world right now, including in this country. And, you know, talking about suffering, living, dying, that's one kind of theme that, you know, feeds back into the record, which is, you know, all the chaos that, you know, has been going on in the world. It's strange, actually, because when we wrote those lyrics, it was in, you know, 2018, 2019, in the years before we kind of felt like the world was to some extent coming to an end, or, you know, nature was retaliating against us for what we were doing. And we were living in this time of, you know, unexpected crisis with, you know, refugee migrations and, you know, environmental disasters like wildfires that happen almost every year now. Obviously, it's depressing stuff, right? There's no getting away from it. But I think the point is I want people to reflect on it and feel some kind of sense of urgency. I think that's one idea that's on the record. Urgency. Do something. Even if it's not a direct call to arms, it's coming into, you know, it's coming in and it's grabbing you by the throat and it's saying, listen to me, right?
Yeah, I feel that. What do you agree with that, Nathan?
Yeah. I mean, I can't comment too much on lyric stuff purely because that's entirely Harry's ball game. You know, I write the riffs and stuff like that, but Harry he's very much, when he's got a vision for something, it will come. You know, he does a really good job at it. I don't really know how else to say it. But yeah, we all share similar views, similar beliefs, and I think that general feeling of, I don't know, I guess I see it as just anger and discomfort at just the way so many things are at the moment. I think that's embodied by the music as well as the lyrics. And that wasn't really anything we sat down and spoke about. It just kind of came out because we're all similar people in that sense. So that was kind of just a nice turn of events, really.
Whether or not the, you know, future tracks will be like that, I don't necessarily know.
No.
We've talked about whether or not we want to explore any kind of big concepts in the future. You know, like for instance, we all listened to the Knock Loose record last year, and we were like, that's really cool. You know, like that's the kind of that's the kind of like concept we'd like to get into, where even if you're telling a story, you can be kind of, I don't want to say repetitive, but you can be kind of one tone, right? But you can just explore a lot of shades of that, a lot of dark shades that are in the same kind of realm. I mean, a lot of heavy music is like that, right?
Of course.
But I think even when we're kind of looking at what kind of stories we can talk about or what concepts we can explore, it's going to be something that is going to be real as far as we feel it. It's going to be something that's real, that relates to the world in some way, and is something that you can really hopefully feel, connect to, understand at a kind of, I don't want to say primal level, but just as visceral as we can make it. And that's partly to the music, right?
Now, how did you talk about the music? How did you craft your sound? Was it instant, like when you got together, or has it evolved over the last couple of years since the conception?
We had a lot of initial ideas going into like how we want this band to sound. You know, initially we were like, you know, we want to try to make something that's mathy, a bit crazy. You know, at least Hugo is, I would say, the main math guy, in that he's always pushing for those influences to be there, and we're all on board with that. But then, you know, I think when Nathan joined the band and then Finn joined the band, each of them kind of bring this new element into the mix. So Nathan brought, I wouldn't say it entirely, but Nathan brought a lot of death metal stylings into it that kind of make it what it is. But then you've got Hugo always, even now, like pushing to make sounds more, you know, songs more abrasive or kind of oddly rhythmic or kind of do some crazy stuff, right? And sometimes it'll just be that, where we'll have this kind of layer of, you know, different sounds or things that vaguely fit a kind of genre, and then we'll go in and we'll jam and we'll just see where we can take it and how we can mix it up. It sounds so generic and so cliche to say, but like I don't think we feel particularly bound by any kind of genre we're in, mainly because we sit across a few of them.
Yeah.
You know, we don't feel like we want to just write like a death metal track because I could just listen to Vital Remains or Nile or whatever.
Yeah.
And equally, we don't just want to sound like Car Bomb, or we don't just want to sound like a gent band. We want to kind of do our own thing. So I think Nathan brings it in, and we're all very freeform about how we want to take it. We've got some tracks that, you know, in the future kind of sound, you know, got a lot of black metal influence in them, and we've got some tracks that are going to be in like 9/4. So it's going to be, we're really open to how we want to kind of go about songwriting. I don't feel like we go in with any kind of preconceived notion about how it's going to sound, if you will.
Yeah, of course. Now, apart from the music, I love the artwork for the EP and the logo. It really sums up the mood for the tracks. Who sorted that for you, and how much influence did you have in that?
So our logo was done by a really nice dude, I believe from Germany, who runs a little kind of logo boutique called Viral Designs.
Very cool.
We looked at all of his stuff, and we basically sent him a kind of catalog of logos that we like from similar things. I mean, to kind of, not to over-egg the point, but that was one thing where we went into and we were like, we would like it to look like this. But obviously you're dealing with abstract ideas of what looks sick to you. So that was why we came with like a ton of logos, and we were like, this is it.
Yeah.
And we wanted to be, we wanted to look something like Leached, because we didn't think it was going to be this completely incomprehensible, bundle of sticks. Like, we're not that kind of like brutal death metal band style.
No, I got you.
But we wanted to, because as I say, we want everything to kind of feel a bit more real, a bit more punchy, a bit more immediate to the point. So that was the kind of idea about it. The artwork itself was actually from a tattoo artist who I see pretty regularly, a guy called Mary Morgan. The guy works in Bath, and he's just this incredible tattoo artist. He's going to absolutely love that I'm saying this, because he was kind enough to do the artwork for us for free on the condition that I endlessly promote him and his work.
Yeah.
So he's going to be absolutely stoked on this, okay? But the guy is an amazing, amazing tattoo artist, and it took him a few months because the guy was so busy. But when he came out with this, vision of the end, this view of a world that's just in ruins. It just looks gnarly.
It looks awesome.
And I mean,
it looks awesome.
Yeah, man.
And what's his name again? Let's give him another plug.
Mary Morgan. You can find him at Mary Tattooer on Instagram.
There you go, Mary. I'll come and see you in Bath when I'm next in the UK. So, so touring wise, shows and festival wise, what's on the agenda?
Yeah, currently we're still kind of just making plans for that sort of thing at the moment. Whilst we're kind of sorting out releasing the rest of the tracks on the EP. Trying to organise some shows and some tours once it's out, or maybe during a few kind of single releases. So nothing we can announce yet, unfortunately. Fortunately, maybe, but we are on the lookout. Hopefully, around the middle of the year, maybe slightly later towards the end, we'll have a tour together with some cool bands. In the meantime, it'll probably be a lot more local shows. Just whatever we can get at the moment, really. I mean, we got a show in Bristol at the end of this month, so obviously it's a bit of a drive for us, but we'll drive down to make the show, because we'll take what we can at the moment.
Yeah.
Not in a it sounds a bit desperate when you say take what you can, but we're just dying to get out there and play these songs live. So yeah, I mean, just because we're a London band, if anyone's listening not in London, doesn't mean we're not coming to your town, so keep an eye out. So
just out of interest, you got your EP. How long is your set? If you're going to do a gig, say tonight, how long would you be playing for? Would you play the whole EP?
Yeah, we'd probably play the EP back to front, which would be
and then repeat the first one.
About 20. Yeah, it'd be about 20 minutes. I mean, we've got, as we've kind of sat on this music for so long, we've got
more tracks,
new songs in the works as well. So there's a couple of tracks that we've been working into our set list for. If we need a few more songs, if we need to drag out the 20-minute grindcore set a little bit. So about 20-25 minutes, really. Yeah, probably.
So if you could tour with 3 bands for the perfect tour you could create, who would they be? Past, present, or future, whatever you want.
Oh man, I mean, I'm gonna have to say Bolt Thrower. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
One each, and then another one. Go on. You can have 2 each. Go on, 2 each.
2 each. Go on, Harry. Your second. I can guess what your second is.
No, I mean, maybe. I mean, I'd say Weekend Nachos. They're this power violence band they're this power violence band we bear absolutely no resemblance to, but I think they're one of the greatest musical acts ever to grace heavy music.
Okay.
Nathan, go ahead.
This is a question. I guess at the moment, off the top of my head, Rolo Tomasi for me.
Yeah.
And let's go with Knockloose. I listen to them fairly regularly. Great live band. Bit of a weird lineup, but it would be good.
Yeah, it should be good. I'll go and see it. So if metal didn't exist, what music would you play?
Oh, interesting. I'd probably be playing blues or jazz.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what I studied when I was in my teens in my guitar lessons. Although I just never, I like jazz. I just didn't really like the world of jazz.
Yeah.
But like most guitarists, I'd just probably be in a pub with a few like 60-year-old men sitting in the corner just watching some blues jams. That would be what I was doing.
Nice. Go on then, Harry.
Drone. I'd be making drone, just massive walls of noise.
Yeah.
I've been to some like, I mean, it kind of feeds back into metal, but like I've been to drone shows or just like doom metal or sludge metal sets or whatever, and you just watch bands play, and it just becomes like this almost religious experience of just you're stood there staring, and all of a sudden you just kind of can't feel anything except the absolute vibe that's in front of you, and it's just a moment, man.
Nice.
It's a moment. I've been straight edge for almost 10 years, and that's the closest I will get to being high, okay?
So what's on the band's bucket list? You know, show-wise, aspirations, etc. What's on the list? One each.
I mean, one thing we've always talked about, and Nathan's gonna think of this too. We'd love to play This Is Hardcore. We're not like a hardcore band, but that's one thing we've always talked about. We like that we kind of sit across different genres, and we think that there's room for a band like us in kind of hardcore-ish circles and the heavier side of hardcore. So when we look at bands like Nails or Harm's Way, we think, we could be there alongside them in some respects. So This Is Hardcore would be a big one.
Yeah, for sure. I guess on a similar scale, 856, his live videos, it's every kind of hardcore crossover band's dream. You just want to be on that channel at some point.
Yeah.
Obviously goes hand in hand with This Is Hardcore. As Harry says, we're not kind of out and out hardcore, but we have that influence. We definitely have that side to us, especially from a kind of live energy perspective, I think. So kind of just getting in on those circles, that would be a proper dream for us, I think.
Yeah. Now, finally, describe the band in 3 words. You can argue about it between yourselves.
Harry, you can go first.
Oh, great.
3 words, come on.
Fast, intense, heavy. Okay. Cringe, I know, but there you go.
Nathan, can you add?
Well, fast was one of my words. Let's go with...
This is like Family Fortunes. You can't have the same one twice.
No. Loud. Let's go big, loud riffs. Big, loud riffs.
Big, loud riffs. I like it. And another one I've got for you. Have you had any New Year's resolutions since we're just into 2022 and you are a band of 2022?
Personally, I'm not really a resolution person. I feel like if you want to bet yourself, just bet yourself. Don't wait for a date. Just do it,
Well, I'm doing dry January, mate. I waited all year to do dry January.
Yeah. I feel like I've got mates. I've got, my other half's doing that, but I don't know. I'm not the kind of person to go overboard with that stuff anyway. So,
all right.
I don't know. I guess if I was to have to pick a resolution, it's just put everything I can into this band.
Cool.
As we've kind of spoken about, and just make sure that we kind of make it happen for ourselves.
Go on, Harry.
Yeah, I think last year, we got the EP finished, and we just have it now. But, things have been going on behind the scenes where we've looked at this year and we've kind of said, this is it. Like, this is it. We've been around since 2018. It's been almost 4 years at this point. Now's the time. This is the year. Exactly. This is where it happens. And that's I think, that's very ambiguous, but that's the kind of attitude we're taking forwards, I think.
And what a great way to finish. Well, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you. Let's hope those pundits were right. The future is bright for Burner. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, man.